I am loving watching these movies again for the first time, the second time, whatever. I'm watching them a second time for the first time. Scream 3, just finished watching that again. Man, this is what I mean in the last couple of videos when I said that each film is hard to rank in terms of which one is better necessarily because each one is trying to achieve their own things. Just watching Scream 3, it is achieving the things that it's supposed to do in a trilogy, as Randy even points out, of course, like what is going to happen in there, the type of things that are going on. It does all that stuff really freaking well. So I think on that level, and with the first one being the first movie, and then the sequel, and then the end of the trilogy, these films are on par with each other overall, I would say. This one, though, has maybe some of the most questionable stuff in it, like Sydney's mom, sort of the ghost of her a little bit, which I'm thinking that the way that they show it, it seems pretty clear that this is more of something in her head that is just her paranoia. She's freaked out. I think out of the first 3 films, I think I enjoy this one more because there's so much more to play with this one. Sydney, for the most part, isn't in it as much as the other 2 films, but she's still in it a good significance, of course. She's still of a good importance to it. Like, but her character alone is so interesting with it, surviving the 2 serial killing attacks, psychopath people trying to get to her and everything. And from the last 2 films, and then having to do this one, like she's secluded herself to being pretty much away from everybody as much as possible, tells everybody she's a different name, really tries to hide. She's got a whole gate system around her house. She's got a dog. She's got a home security thing. She is just totally content with being alone. She's got a job where she can help people in a way, but it's more of an anonymously trying to help people, which that makes sense for her to kind of do. She's not totally closing off entirely, but she has pretty much cut herself off from everything based on her fear of the things that have happened. That's all that kind of comes out in a way. It's not like she's constantly thinking about it, but it is. She has let this thing kind of control her life. It's affecting her entirely. She doesn't want to see Dewey, doesn't want to see Gail, doesn't want to see any of her friends, doesn't want to go out in public, very doesn't want to get close to people because of what has happened. She has let these events start to control her life. And she seems to think about her mother sometimes and how it's like, she thought she knew her mother in some way, shape, or form, but it just seems to turn out that there's so much about her that she was a huge whore and just slept around with everybody and everybody hates her, and that she pretty much caused all these horrible things that have happened in her life. I freaking love Scream. Like, I wouldn't think that there's this much complexity and substance and character building in a horror slasher type of movie. I am loving it. And I mean, on top of that, just in general, the reason why I like Scream is that it's not some supernatural killing thing that can't die. It's not just it's like it's just people that are able to do it. And the creepiest part is who is it and why? Why are they doing this? Who is doing this? And it's not just some rando killer who's trying to kill you for no fucking reason. If that were the case, it'd just be like, whatever. I guess it's a killer trying to kill you, but that'd be no different in a way than Friday the 13th or something, where it's just some guy that's trying to kill you. Even though he's more on the supernatural side, but you get what I mean. The beginning of the movie, starting out with Cotton, the beginning of the movie starting out with Cotton, just trying to do his gigs, trying to live his life, getting a phone calls. He's got a girlfriend, but he gets a call from what seems to be a woman, and he's like, "Oh shit, she seems interesting. Okay, yeah, sounds like we can get some booty going on here. Why not?" Cotton doesn't have that much character development throughout the 3 films, but there is enough of him to kind of get what he is. He was a man wrongly accused of doing a horrible thing and was almost sentenced to death. He was in jail for a year, but he wants to be in Hollywood, wants to do the career stuff. And I love that, because that once you get the whole first 3 films down, I mean, most of the plot has to do with films in general. And I mean, he was an actor, and this goes back to his set. The mom turns out to have been trying to be an actress for a couple of years. This is how she had a kid. Like the killer in this one is Sydney's brother. It's kind of just like Brandy said, it's like Return of the Jedi. You learn something new that happens. It's just like, god damn. I think Scream 3, I think I like the most, because you have to keep in mind all the things that you learn from Scream 1 and 2, And as you're watching this one, getting things revealed, and you're trying to, this whole time, you think you know the game and you know what to expect and what's going to happen. And there's maybe ways that you could tell who the killer is because you've seen the other two films, but you're still not entirely sure with yourself because they could throw in a curveball on you. And I love that. So watching the second time, knowing all the stuff that happens and all the stuff getting a little more solidified, like accounting of events here, I like Scream 3 more right now as I'm thinking about it. I think I like that more. And I mean, the guy who's doing this, the one thing that I would question, one thing that I would question and maybe ask my Scream audience, people that love Scream, maybe there's an answer for this. I'm not exactly sure. And he does give some exposition toward the end that could explain how he got the voice modulator thing, the voice changer device. Was that a thing that was actually around in that time? I mean, I'm pretty sure it was to some degree, that there was like a voice changer thing. They had that in like Home Alone too, pretty much. But as far as taking other people's voices and being able to sound like them just from having the device record their voice, is that a thing back then? Nowadays, I can believe it because of apps and the way that technology is, AI and whatnot. I mean, I could believe that even 10 years ago, there'd be something like that where you could change your voice in that type of way. But he's able to get Sydney's mom's voice, Sydney's voice, like their current voice, essentially. Everybody's voices he's able to get. Now, I can understand also like him getting Cotton's voice because he's an actor, he's on TV and stuff. That makes sense. Gail Weathers, same thing. Dewey was on sets on the same area that he worked with. So I could see him getting all these different voices, maybe, but I wasn't so sure about him being able to get Sydney's voice and her mom's voice. Though I guess if he had recordings of Sydney's mom before, like from the actor stuff that she was doing, maybe that would work, but I'm not sure. So let me know what you guys think about that. That's like the one element in here that I'm not as sold on compared to everything else that stands up pretty well. Uh, but I like that it's him. It's not like but I like that it's him and that this time it is just one killer, but it's not just one killer. It makes the first movie where there were three killers technically, where he was the orchestrator of Stu and Billy doing the stuff, and he's a director as well. He loves films, he loves recording stuff. I'm gonna make a movie. And then Billy and Stu are also people that know of movies. It didn't sound like they explained like how. I could be having roadblock here on this, but our killer in Scream 3, he, knew Billy and Stu. Was he just like friends with them? Did they go to the same school? How did they know each other exactly? Uh, Sydney's mom, did mess around. Sydney's mom did mess around, and he ended up learning that she had a different life and a kid and everything. She was trying to get rid of her old life, and that that she doesn't want to spend time with the son anymore. I get that, but I'm trying to see exactly how he would have met Billy and Stu specifically, because I'm almost seeing it as they might have been friends, maybe, or in the same school area. I mean, it's because of Sydney's mom that they know of each other at all, more than likely, with what they show and everything. But I'm trying to make it more of a solid image. Whatever they show is good, but I'm trying to see how solid it is, essentially. Or can you pick apart anything with it? But the connecting thing is that they are freaking movie people. They love movies, and that would be the connecting thread, if anything. I love the actress that tries to play as Gail in this, and she's like, I'm going to be attached to the hip to you because the killer wants to kill you, but I'm playing you, and they're killing the people that are in the cast that are trying to be you, but they would actually just probably kill you, so I'm going to hang around with you. And she tries to, in character, act like Gail, and has these ways around to help Gail and to help them figure out what's going on, to help them find clues to lead to the killer and stuff. So I like that element. Like when they're talking to Carrie Fisher in the basement and stuff, she's like, would you do it for your president? $50. Like, $50 fucking dollars, kidding me? Here's $2,000 and whatever. It's just like, nice move there, Gail imposter. That was good. That was a funny little addition there. Dewey and Gale, some people by this point being the third film and they, liked each other, fell apart, liked each other, fell apart, that might be a little ridiculous. And I can understand that. But the way that they do it is this is part of how they know each other. And this is part of what they do. They get enthralled into these killings in a way that bring them closer together. And the way that they behave, they start to understand each other more throughout these events anyway. And she did hang around with him after he was injured, but she is the type of person that can't be in one place for that long and has to keep on trying to do something else, especially while she's young, is what the impression I was getting. And he's the type that is more homegrown. He didn't want to leave Woodsboro. And so to him, like her always wanting to leave means that she doesn't love him as much. So he kind of feels that way. And that's kind of why they have some problems with each other. And by the end of this one, though, like he makes the assertive decision to propose to her. And by the end of all this stuff, he does care about her. Like he does not want her to be harmed. He wants her to be okay. And so like he does love her. He knows he probably doesn't have the shot as much as anything else, but he's still going to try. He tries. She respects that. She sees all these qualities within Dewey. And I love how this shows that. It builds on the other movies and leads this to a believable enough type of relationship. It's not just that they get together at the end of the other film and then they're together forever, or that they break up for some stupid reasons like they do in a lot of TV shows sometimes. Like, oh, we just didn't work out. It's like, no, there's a lot of reasons why this didn't work out the way it did. Relationships don't always just happen overnight because you were in the movie. Sometimes it can take a while to build that relationship and be a lot stronger. This does a good job with that. And from what I remember of the fourth film, they keep that together pretty good, and then fuck the fifth movie. But I'll be rewatching those too, so we'll see what I think about those when I get to them. This one did such a good job, but this one also did a good job in our subversion and what we're trying to expect as we're looking for the killers. Who could it be? A lot of us probably thought that the cop was going to be the killer because they do a lot of subtle implications as to why it could possibly be him, but they don't go too much into that. When he finds them at the house and Sydney's looking at him and she's like, "Where's your partner? You came alone?" Immediately, like what could have given away is if he kept his gun up or was questioning her. Come on, Sid. Yeah. Like if he kept on doing that type of thing, it would be more suspicious. But he immediately recognizes she reasonably thinks that I could be the killer. They just had a confrontation. This ain't good. I was told to come here. Like all this stuff. I'm gonna put my gun down and show that she's got the gun on me and that she's got the power here. I'm going to let her do that. Like that was good character for him. What little we get of that guy, it shows that he does have good character traits as well. And he is interested in this chick. And I like how when they're in the office and she asks, what's your favorite scary movie? He's just like, my life. And like the way that when she's talking to him, he's not answering things in the typical serial killer type of way. He's just like, this is my job. I'm a homicide detective. I try to find these things. I find so much creepy shit anyway that all these people are capable of doing. Like he loves movies and probably to get away from the real stuff he's got to deal with that to him is probably worse than anything that happens in these movies. And I don't know, I like that. And that Sydney finds some type of thing there, find some type of interest with that she's gonna potentially, everybody assumes that they're gonna hook up, and I think they kind of confirm that in one of the films later that they did hook up. If there are other points to critique, I always like to find any points to maybe pick at. Would probably be when the brother throws the knife at Dewey, when Dewey gets him on the stairwell and he's out of ammo and he's gonna shoot, and then the killer throws his knife at him. I'm betting he was trying to kill Dewey in that moment. Like the way that he was doing all this stuff, planning this out at this area, it seemed like not all of this was going according to plan entirely, but because of the way certain things are happening, it was okay. He was going to probably kill Dewey right there, but Dewey got hit in the head and knocked out. And then Gale is injured from falling down the stairs as well and is just on top of him. He can knock her out easily, and he does, and he uses them as bait to draw Sydney out of the protection of the police office but like keeping them alive. You could ask, well, why doesn't he just kill Dewey and Gale? But it's like he's got to find a way to get Sydney here without the cops coming here. She's got to come alone. And so he keeps them alive as to where he probably was going to kill them. That was going to be his idea. And when she gets to the house, she has to know that they are alive. Otherwise, she's not going to come into the house. And like, what would be the whole point of this? He wants her to play this game. He's directing this movie, essentially, as he puts it. and is trying to get it all right. He's trying to frame that one head movie guy that this is with all this stuff and showing all the like he's got all this in his mind. He wants her to understand that yeah, I am the brother and you fucking your mom's a fucking bitch and she cut me out of the life and I fucking hate you. Like I love this movie. You could probably tell based on how I'm talking about it right now. The other two, I like the other two, but I really like this one. There's so much character by this point, thanks to the development of the other two. There's so much that we're thinking about as we're watching it, thanks to the other two films. Like this film stands so well because the other two stack up so well to me. And it's able to finish it off in a nice, neat way. And by the time we get to the end of the movie, and we get to her, she's at her house again, and Gail and Dewey are hanging out, and they're doing stuff. She gets home. There's an obvious parallel with how it can to how she was at the beginning, where she comes home, she locks her gate up, she gets in the house, she has her coat on the door, and she's just like ready to just, she's alone and everything, and she's trying to not be alone. This time at the very end, she opens her gate free, pun not intended here. And then she gets in the house, she thinks about, do I really set the alarm now? I mean, she kept on doing, she's had this paranoia for so long now, the last couple of years, trying to get killed. And it's always somebody that she knows and all that stuff. And then she didn't like fully close the door. So as she starts to walk away to the living room to join them, the door opens and, she looks over to it and there could be that obvious paranoia, but she just lets it open, smiles, and, is going to go and watch a movie and enjoy stuff with her friends. Like that is a great little ending for her without badgering us in that she's feeling better. I can move on and blah, blah, blah. She never says I can move on now. I'm happy now, blah, 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 blah. It's all showing how she feels with this stuff. And I like that. Does a very good job with that. And then that reminds me of their conversation in the police station about the ghosts. They mentioned ghosts and hauntings. Like, you can't kill a ghost. You can't arrest a ghost. Ghosts are kind of freaky to them and this type of thing. And he mentions a relation to her about like how he sometimes feels like there's ghosts too. Like he totally gets it. He gets it, but he believes that she was attacked at the movie set because he's like, if they're real, then I can actually do something about it. I can arrest them or kill them. Rather than just have them be something that haunts you forever. This again, so the stuff with her mom at the movie set, that was the one thing that I was kind of like, what? Because they show her at her house at Dream that her mom walks up to the window and is like, people just die around you. And then later it shows her at the movie set of her house, and it seems to be that there's somebody under the sheet and tries to get at her. Is that supposed to be our killer, or is that supposed to be the mom for real, or is that supposed to be a ghost? Like, I think it was all just really like she got attacked by our Ghostface killer, the brother, with the thing. But after she tossed him onto the bed and then they're separated for a couple moments or two, he ran the fuck out. That's what I'm thinking. And then when she went upstairs and she's like hearing the voices of her mother, that's just her paranoia in her head of being in this type of simulation of her old house and this murder scene and all this stuff like that. It's probably just getting to her big time when she falls off the roof and is crying. She's like, he's in there, and I heard my mom. At least she's crying. I love that moment. Yeah, she's just like, that's her mental low point here. She's like facing this again, and she's terrified. She's been through this. She's a tough woman, but she's also like just mentally freaked the fuck out about all this stuff, and like her relation to how she saw her mom too, I imagine is really getting to her. The more she learns about her mom after she's been dead for so long and all this stuff that she's technically caused here, like this is great. But it's like she didn't cause it directly because she's not a fucking psycho killer. She slept with people, yes, but all these other people ended up killing. That's not her fault to blame even the mom on. These other people took these actions into their own hands, did it their own way. They are psychopaths, not because of you can't. It's easy to blame her, sure, she's a catalyst to it in a way, but not the main cause. They're already kind of crazy. But yeah, I love Scream 3. Like, this is probably out of the trilogy, out of the first three, I think Scream 3 is easily my favorite. I'd rank them all on a pretty even level, but subjectively, my favorite, I think, is number 3 after watching them all again, for the first time, second time. So yeah, I'm curious what I'll read. I'm curious what I'll think watching the fourth film for a second time, because I remember liking that one pretty good, but I also remember not necessarily liking the killers entirely. I was pretty good. I was okay with some of that, but just like the full story of it, the full motivation of it, I wish there was a little bit more to that to really buy me in a little bit more. And there's like a whole nother like extra scene toward the end in the hospital that I don't know if that needed to be there necessarily like that. This like extra showdown that seemed a little tacked on. The killer in that one seemed to be a little invincible. I'll talk about that in the next video. Let me know what you guys think about Scream 3, and I'll see you on the next one.